Blessed is the man that worketh nothing at the counsel of the heathen, nor sitteth in at the seat that is can't fall. What his delight is in the law of the Lord, and in this law I say, I dated sunrise and sundown. Him I go there like a tree planted by the rivers of water that bringeth forth fruit in the season. Him live never I go wither, and whatsoever him do shall prosper. Yay! The heathen them now there, so them there like a chaff, which the wind driveth away. Therefore the heathen them never go turn upon judgment of the sinner man them in the congregation of the righteous. For the Lord God Jah love the way of the righteous and the way of the sinner man them always and always. I go perish. Let the people of the Most High God say, Joe! Kadama we groma be a tela e au mau so bolisa adanu wato. As clear for. This is the Black Pot, aka Kukushonamo, where we speak truth to power. And my name, Blakk Rasta. He that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High Jah shall therein abide under the shadow of the Almighty. The name of the Lord is a strong tower, and the righteous run into it, and them is safe. Many are the afflictions of the righteous, but Jah shall deliver him from all of them. And I give thanks and I says unto your name, King of kings and Lord of lords, the conquering lion of the tribe of Judah, Amasa Yahuda Amasa, the Gusto no Gusto Danielam, Komaya Sataya, Aimana Pio Aya, Karmawe Grumabea Tila. This is the Black Pot, aka Kukushonamo, where we speak truth to power. And my name, Blakk Rasta. Now, in every traditional African home, there is a black pot. And each time this black pot rests on the fire, there is something sumptuous cooking. The black pot is so symbolical of Africa. Yes, Africa. How? Now, the black pot represents Africa, and the ingredients in the black pot represent us as a people. Just as the ingredients have so many different colors, shapes, and sizes, smells, and aroma, and even taste, yet agree to come together in this black pot to be subjected to some amount of heat so that they will produce one homogeneous product known as food for the nourishment of the family. So are we required as a people to put away our differences, come together in the black pot, which is the continent of Africa, and produce one homogeneous product. In this sense, not food, but development for our people, our continent, our land, and the generations yet to come. My big brother, this is the Black Pot, aka Kukushonamo, and here we speak truth to power. Now, the very interesting thing is that we don't normally criticize in this segment because it is not required. If we must criticize, though, we would only just criticize to build and not to destroy. This is in the service of God and country. And my name, Blakk Rasta. We are live on Pan-African TV, also live on Black Empire TV. We are live on Ghana Web TV. Our numbers are scrolling on your screen. Pick up the numbers, give us a call. It could be a WhatsApp call, free WhatsApp call, or even a message. Tell us what business you are doing. Let's come together to see how we can finance this business on the show, and we will promote it. No two ways about that. The more you do business with us, the more you give us the financial muscle to be able to rewire the mindset of our people. Remember, the biggest problem of Africa is not a problem of schools and hospitals and roads, but the problem of the mind, the mindset. This is Pan-African TV, and we are the champions of Pan-Africanism. Via satellite, we are seen all over the continent of Africa and beyond. This is the Black Pot, and my name, Blakk Rasta. Very first thing to look at today is what? Watch it. It says what? It says what? Government ROARS right. Now, the government of Ghana all of a sudden performed so woefully bad. awesomely terrible. My brother, my sister, everybody around the world lost interest in this government. And people even feared that there would be a coup d'etat. Now they wanted the finance minister of this country, Kedoforiata, out. Even his own people in government, I'm talking about the MPs, members of parliament, wanted this man out. Some said he was arrogant, others said he was incompetent, some said he's utterly sick. In fact, actually terminally ill and must therefore move away. But this man said he will not go. He has read the budget. Well, much as so many people are criticizing, yes, we can also critique it, but I've seen two things that I think have been done in the right direction, and I would like to bring that to the fore. What about this budget is good? As Pan-Africanists, let's open our eyes and look at this. Watch the very first thing. What does it say? Fuel allocations for government officials to be cut by 50%. I thought they would have cut this one by 90%, or better still 100%. Everybody should fuel their vehicles. That's it. My brother, my sister, listen, man, fuel is very expensive. Petrol, expensive. Diesel, expensive. Kerosene, expensive. I'm yet to see a car in Ghana that uses kerosene. It's either diesel or petrol. Some use gas, and some cars use electricity. My brother, my sister, but the technology is yet to catch up with the people of this country. But this one is reported by Ghana Web, and it says fuel allocations for government officials to be cut by 50%. So tell us, how much have you been financing the fuel of these ministers? Why should their vehicles be fueled? Why? Can we understand? Do they also have their electricity paid for? I thought recently a certain minister of state came out and told us, well, we pay for our own fuel. Some MPs also said, we pay for our own fuel and all that. How come we are going to cut 50% of fuels for what? Why? Who did this money go to? We need to answer all these questions and know exactly who has been taking the fuel on the back of the taxpayer. But it's in a good spirit, very good spirit, that at least we are going to cut down by 50% fuel allocated to these people. Listen, my brother, my sister, the taxpayer is already going through hell. And some people are so inconsiderate, so unreasonable, they will still squeeze the taxpayer. Look how the president is flying around. And we have ministers of state and some government officials whose vehicles are being fueled on the back of the taxpayer. Are you not wicked to the taxpayer? Well, that aside, there is another thing that I think has been done right. And this might be a little controversial, but open your eyes and watch this one. Watch the headline. Government says what? Freeze on employment, disappointing. And this is TUC, trade unions, right? Hear me now. It's interesting. Government has come out to say that, hey, there's going to be a freeze on employment. Government is no longer going to employ anybody. And TUC says, hey, we want them, bring that headline. Said they want the government not to touch employment. Watch this. We want government not to accept any IMF team, if attempt to freeze hiring. But we want government not to accept any IMF term to freeze hiring. But government did it. Now government is no longer going to employ people. In our country, the government plays a strong role. In fact, in employing people, many people want to work with the government. And many of us, including me, myself, and I believe that people that are employed by the government have a certain level of job security. They stay in there, and because of that, there's a lot of crap and lousiness that would happen when the government employs you. Look at what is happening in government institutions. A lot of people go there to sleep. They have turned the workplace into their playground. They go there and sleep and do absolutely nothing because they know at the end of the month they will be paid. In some other countries, you would show what work you have done for the day. You will clock in and be able to tell when you arrived at work and when you are going out. You are paid hourly. In our country, whether you work or not, you are paid. There's a lot of waste in the government sector. And especially that we do dirty politics around Africa, the government uses this opportunity to employ family and friends. They promise you employment because during the elections, you stole a ballot box for them. During the elections, you slapped opposition and they ran away and couldn't vote. During the elections, you were even there to make sure that you intimidated people to vote for the party. So if government is not employing people anymore, I would expect that they will take another step and say, government is facilitating the work of the private sector to take up employment. If government is able to do that, we will have a better country where the power is in the hands of the people, where the power of employment is given to the private sector. So that when people leave school, they don't go knocking at government offices and be demanding to be employed with long CVs and long resumes. My brother, my sister, listen, man, if the power of employment is given to the government, and now the government is saying there's a freeze on employment, let us take back the power as private people, employ ourselves, and also employ each other. Does it make sense? Does it make sense? This is the time to do that. The private sector has to be facilitated. Those who are into farming, what can the government do to facilitate this? It's not all about loans, it's also about knowledge and training. Can they be trained to stand on their own and become entrepreneurs? How long does it take to do that? What is the plan? If government is stepping back on employment, in fact, putting a damper on employment, it is a good thing. I can look at it in the positive light that the private sector will now have the muscles to stand firm and push its own agenda. Now, where the private sector has so much power of employment, there is no government that can politicize any decision that has to do with employment in this country. Some people will see it as a curse. White-collar jobs. Everybody's running to the government. Recently, I had a debate where people said it's not the government's duty to provide employment. The government can facilitate employment, but it's not the duty of the government to employ people. And I sit back and I say, all right, next elections, let them campaign that it is not their duty to provide employment, and let's see who would vote for them. It's only cockroaches and lizards and grasshoppers and spiders and rats that will vote for them. Human beings will not. Let's look at this in that light and applaud ourselves that the power is gradually coming into our own hands. That's what is happening in America. That's what is happening in England. That's what is happening in China. The private sector has so much power that the government cannot come and campaign on a ticket of providing employment for the people. No, the private sector is doing it already. They have to push the private sector to be able to handle this. This is the Blakk Pot, aka Kukuchonomo, where we speak truth to power. And my name, Blakk Rasta. When we return, we would have a lot more to talk about. But I have a next thing to look at. Dash it away and bring me the next thing. What is this? Watch this. The traitor called J.A. ANKRAH. There was a soldier in Ghana called J.A. ANKRAH. That's him. One of the cowardly traitors that we had in this country. He has a beautiful daughter in this country who has just started talking ignorantly. What is her name? That's her. She's called Jackie. And today I came across something and I said, well, as historians, it behoves us to be able to put the record straight. What is Jackie saying? Watch the headlines. Hey, he says what? Watch it. Although my father overthrew Nkrumah, he still deserves some praise. That's Jackie ANKRAH. Well, let's understand it. Come. Jackie ANKRAH, daughter of Lieutenant General J.A. ANKRAH, said although her father overthrew the Kwame Nkrumah government, he still did a lot of things worth celebrating. In an interview with Asasi Radio, the broadcaster Kumsinga said despite her father's flaws, he had achieved a lot for the country. We don't talk about my father much, which is unfortunate because of the Nkrumah overthrow. My father was the first in many things, but my father was an amazing, remarkable, incredible soldier. Just recently, he was honored at the Ghana Armed Forces Command and Staff College. And when they wrote and spoke about him, I was proud because my father has done so many things that we don't get told about because we rewrite history all the time. But I think these are things that we must talk about to encourage one another and encourage the next generation. She told Na Shoko. Jackie also established that her father was a great inspiration to the new generation, adding that he should be added to the crop of past leaders usually recognized in the country. Joseph A. ANKRAH was the chairman of the National Liberation Council from 1966 to 1969 and was Ghana's first military head of state after he overthrew Dr. Kwame Nkrumah alongside other members of the NLC. He died in 1992 and left behind, listen to this, several wives and 18 children, one man. Congratulations. Come! History has to be told properly. It pains me that I'm reading that he overthrew Nkrumah alongside others. How could such a coward do that? Now find the book of Kwame Nkrumah and read other historical events concerning the coup. How could such a coward do that? Listen, he was a soldier that rose to the rank, as written in Nkrumah's book, not because he was a sharp soldier, but because of what? Long service. Do you get it? He wasn't exceptional, but long service. The law says that after 5 years of service, you must be promoted. So if you stay and get promoted, it doesn't mean you are smart. It's because you have been there for long. Promoted because of long service. Look for the book written by Kwame Nkrumah. It is called Dark Days in Ghana. And check that out. And check some other books. The man was not an exceptional soldier. Of course, he was in Congo, and he was one of those that helped save the life of Patrice Lumumba, albeit temporarily. Right? After that, what happened to Lumumba? He was slaughtered and dipped into a barrel of acid so they could destroy every evidence. Hear me now. Listen, J.A. ANKRAH was such a coward that in 1965, this was a man who was going around trying to start up a coup, trying to find out those who were strong enough to be part of a coup. But he himself was scared to be part of the coup. And the same people hinted Nkrumah, the strong intelligence of Kwame Nkrumah picked up the signal and he was sacked. Now the interesting thing was that Nkrumah wanted to sack him earlier when he returned from Congo because he was a lousy soldier. He was a talkative. He talked for nothing and was not bold, but he was a serious coward. Hear me now. He was a good orator, yes, he could talk. So the soldiers who had muscles and could do the action only pushed him to talk for them. You understand? So he was just like a talkative. That was what happened. Nkrumah sacked him in 1965. The following year, in fact, Kotoka and some other people came together. Of course, this other guy was the one sitting in the corner after he had been sacked. He became a member of a certain bank. We don't want to go too much into the history. He was also a sports person, and he had done quite well for himself in the sporting field. Maybe he should have just stayed there. But as a soldier, he was a coward. In fact, when the coup was done against Kwame Nkrumah in February, in fact, the 24th day of February, 1966, they picked him up and made him the chairman of the NLC, the so-called National Liberation Council, and he acted as the head of state. But this was a man who was so scared of Kotoka. He was a man who was so scared of the other coup makers like Harley, the police commissioner, and some other people like Doku and the rest. Let history be told well. J.A. ANKRAH was that coward who come and say, let's do a coup. But when it was time to do the coup, you would not find him. Listen, man, when they chased him and were going to take his life after the coup, after Kwame Nkrumah went into exile, and there was a coup attempt. In fact, remember the coup that killed Kotoka, another villain. And they were looking for him. Junior staff were looking for him. When they saw him, he went down begging and crying. Read the book of Kwame Nkrumah, it is in there. He jumped through a window into the sea. And because he was a Labadi boy, a Ga boy, he was so familiar with the sea. In fact, he ran away all the way. This was the man that you called a coup maker. There are some people in every kind of aluta who will choke. Let's do, let's do, let's do. Yet they have no balls. When it comes for action, they go away. And what is Jackie saying? That he did some good things, like what? The cowardice. This man would never be remembered in the history of Ghana. He was such a coward who betrayed this nation. Look at Kwame Nkrumah honoring him. A few moments before Nkrumah himself realized that no, this man was a traitor and they needed to kick him out. That was who he was. Listen, man, listen. What happened to this man? 1 month after Nkrumah was overthrown, he wrote a long letter to President Lyndon of America, explaining himself and the other people, explaining why Nkrumah had to go. According to him, Nkrumah had blocked every avenue for change. The only way available was through a coup d'etat. And that was why the coup d'etat happened. My brother, my sister, there are so many interesting things. I encourage you to read The Dark Days in Ghana, and you get to know more about this coward that the daughter wants to be honored. Honored for what? Now, the most damning thing that happened to this guy, you remember the Biafran War? Nigerians had to calm down. And this was somewhere in 1965, thereabout. They had to calm down, getting to 1966, thereabout. They had to calm down for them to talk. You understand? To talk and bring about peace in Biafra. Now, Nigerians were looking up to Ghana because of Kwame Nkrumah. Even though Nkrumah was not around, his spirit was still hovering around Ghana. ANKRAH was only the leader of the NLC for 8 months, after which the same people sacked him. Why did they sack him? A head of state who took bribes. Read the history. He took a bribe from a Nigerian businessman. A whole head of state took a bribe. And his own cohorts, the coup makers, came out and said, hey, so you have demeaned this country. We overthrew Nkrumah because we said he was careless, that he ran down the economy. And you, a coward like you were also pushing for it. When we went shooting and firing, you were hiding with your wife. In fact, this was a man who married several wives. At the end of the day, what happened? They sacked him and forced him to resign on the 5th day. Am I right? No, 25th of November. He was sacked from the government, forced to resign because he took bribe. Is this a man we should remember? It hurts me when people want to distort history. If I were Jackie, I would keep quiet permanently. You are the very disgraceful father, a father so useless that this country doesn't want to remember. And somebody like me, when I hear about these people, I get angry. It's like, what's that guy's name, Kotoka? That Rawlings said some time ago, oh yeah, he was a brave soldier. What bravery? Bravery that retarded our growth in this country? Is that foolhardiness or bravery? And I went to, what's the name of the Dabala? Somewhere in the bush, I saw something. They said it's a statue of Kotoka. I said, for what? What is that for? Some other area like that, I think Hoho is somewhere like that in the Volta region. I saw another statue. No, sir. These guys are not serious. Listen, man, listen. There are some people who should never be remembered in this country. The coward J.A. ANKRAH is one of them. It might hurt the family, but that is the truth. When a man dies, he shouldn't all of a sudden become a hero. If he was a villain, he would remain a villain even in his grave. This is the Black Pot, aka Kukushunum, where we speak truth to power without looking at any face and without looking at personalities. We look at events and the content. When we return, we will do more. But I have a quote for you, and this quote suits this thing that we're talking about right now. Hey! Wayo!
Blakk pot, Kukushonama.
This is the Black Pot, aka Kukushunum, where we speak truth to power. Yes, a nation can survive its fools and their ambitions, but not treason from within. Think about it. This is the Black Pot, aka Kukushunum, where we speak truth to power. Next thing I would like to look at, watch it, man, rolling on your screen. Hey, calm down. It says what? Ghana abandons American dollar at last. What is the story? Check it out. Drop it. What is the story talking about? My brother, my sister, hear me now. Listen. Ghana has overhyped the American dollar. Wherever you go in Ghana, the American dollar is more valuable than when it is even in America. You want to hear it again? The dollar is more valuable in Ghana than it is in America itself. In America, if $1 can buy ice cream, in Ghana it can buy 5 ice creams. It's interesting that the dollar is more valuable and more respected in this country than its country of origin. Come! Watch the headline. It says Ghana plans to buy oil with gold rather than dollar reserves. Oh my God. And this is foreign press. Let's read the story. What does it say? Ghana is developing a new strategy that will see it purchase oil products using gold rather than the US dollar reserves. Vice President Mahmoudou Bawumia disclosed this via Facebook on Thursday. He explained that the decision is intended to address Ghana's declining foreign exchange reserves and the demand for dollars from oil exporters, a situation that has drastically weakened the local city and driven up living expenses. Gold to the rescue. The vice president said that since domestic vendors would no longer require foreign currency to import oil products using gold, they would prevent the exchange rate from directly impacting the cost of fuel or utilities. Dash it away. My brother, my sister, how did the dollar get this powerful? Through the same oil route. America at a point spoke with the oil producers in the Sahel. Yes, in the Arabian areas. And what did they say? America said, listen, we are your trade partners. We want to be a very powerful ally to you. We want all your oil. If anybody wants oil from you because we are friends, ask them to pay using the American dollar because we are your friends. A very long story cut short. And the Arabs said, okay, that's good. And from that time, anybody who wanted oil from the Arab land had to pay using the American currency. It hyped the American dollar and it made it more valuable because everybody uses oil. And the Arabs would not accept any currency, not even their own currency. They had to ask you to go bring the American dollar. And the dollar came in high demand and boom, it shot to the sky. Everybody got to know the dollar, including unborn babies. That is why the Arab currencies are not even popular. What is the currency used in Oman? What is the currency used in Kuwait? What is the currency even used in Saudi Arabia? Apart from a few people who have gone to Mecca and they are Alaji, Alhaja, and Hajias, who might be able to tell you, listen, you don't need to go to America to know that America uses the dollar. Even unborn babies, even cockroaches and lizards know that. It was a strategic marketing hype that pushed the dollar up there, and its demand became big, and it got very solid, gidigba, like that. That's it. Now, interesting things. When Muammar Gaddafi came into power, he tried to introduce the gold dinar. And the gold dinar was supposed to replace all these currencies. He had the power, he had oil, he had almost everything. He had the political muscle and at the same time had the finances. So what did he do? He tried to introduce the gold dinar. We all saw the signboards all over, the billboards all over Africa, advertising the gold dinar. Anybody who wanted to buy oil from his land would have to pay using the gold dinar. And the gold dinar was going to be the legal exchange, or better still, the legal tender in the whole of Africa. Just like the euro is used in Europe. The gold dinar was supposed to be used in the whole of Africa. And we were ready for it. Some African countries had already agreed. And the adverse had started. No, quickly they descended on Muammar Gaddafi, slaughtered him like a dog, and finished him, lying that he was killing his own people. He had nothing to do with killing his own people. Muammar Gaddafi was a visionary. Yes, of course, he had his bad sides and all that. He had been a villain before. But after some time, when he realized who he was, working with and calling friends, he decided to come to his African family and say, hey, Africans, let us work together. He ran away from the so-called Arab Spring and decided to come and be with his African family. And that was when he introduced these wonderful things. They pushed people out to fight him, saying that he was using Libya's money for parties all over, including Bunga Bunga. What happened? When Muammar Gaddafi was killed, that dream came to an end. Which other African country is Pan-African enough and has the political goodwill and at the same time the economic muscle to be able to drive this gold dinar? None. So Muammar Gaddafi was killed, and it killed the dream of the gold dinar. By now, the gold dinar would have been quite popular. And traveling all around Africa, you wouldn't need the cedi or the naira. All you would need is the gold dinar. My brother, my sister, they tried establishing that in Zimbabwe recently. I don't know how far it has gone, but it's been so quiet. I am sure demons, economic demons, Western demons are coming out to fight this. Because every time Africa tries to rise, they try to bring the people down. Now Ghana is going to use raw gold. Raw gold. Who has the political muscle to come out and introduce a currency that will be accepted around Africa? Why can't we do that? What is the use of the AU from OAU to AU? Can we not all come together and say that, all right, we're going to use one currency in Africa? There are two very important currencies in Africa. One of them is the CFA. But we all know how the CFA is tied to the loins of France and some other such powers. Let's drop all these currencies and come together. Drop the Naira, drop the CFA, drop the cedi, and all those currencies and come together and build one African currency. Can we do that? Can we do that? Do we have the common sense to do that? Do we have the common sense to do that? Now Baumia is talking about using gold to go and buy it. America is going to give you a fight. Don't think it's going to be that easy. America has a lot of gold reserves, both stolen and those that they got legally. In the days of slavery, in the days of colonization, they called us the Gold Coast because they had so much gold in this country to steal. The Portuguese came and stole it and went away. We had the Dutch also come in, steal it and go. We had the English. They also came and stole it and went away. Don Diego da Zambuja How many of us remember that guy from Portugal? He was a thief. He was a rapist. They all came and stole our gold and all that. My brother, my sister, they are still going around stealing the diamonds and the gold. This time round, they might not be using guns and bombs, but they use other methods. If you have time and you read the Economic Hitman, you'll be able to understand some of these things. That is why our country is always in debt. That is why we need to build an independent state, a true independent state, devoid of all the military bases that are spread and sprinkled all over Africa, devoid of the dependence on the so-called colonialists, devoid of all the intricacies and underpinnings of political and colonial mentalities. My brother, my sister, it's a good thing. You want to use the gold, but it should be the first step. We should think about developing a currency, and let's see how that currency is going to work. When we return, we got more. We got more. But talking about, colonial powers and all that. We told you already, England controlled about 30% of the whole of Africa. The next country that had so many colonies was France, only 15%, half what Britain had. Now, when we talk about the Horn of Africa, what is that? This is the Black Pot, aka Kukushonomo, where we speak truth to power.
Blakk pot. Kokushoudama.
This is the Black Pot, aka Kukushoudama, where we speak truth to power. And my name, Blakk Rasta. Come! Next thing. What is it? Remember to pick our numbers on the screen and give us a call. You can give us a free WhatsApp call. We would always respond. And let's do business together. I fear for Ghana. Who is saying this? Who says he fears for Ghana? Why is there a bomb about to explode? Oh, I know this guy. He's called Professor Bobkin, right? Yeah, Professor Bobkin. He's an economist. He's been talking economics all this while. Why does he fear for Ghana? Is his life under threat? Is somebody chasing him? What is the problem? Watch the headline. And it says what? Jesus. I fear for Ghana. 2023 budget was a disappointment. And this is Bobkin. Oh, really? Okay, let's look at it. It says, an economist, Professor Gottfried Bobkin, has rated the 2023 carbon budget as unsatisfactory. Come! He explained that government failed to give Ghanaians an honest update on the state of the economy. I will say I was disappointed, but not surprised. I'm disappointed because we are on course to create a financially repressed society. They created the impression that what independent-minded people are putting out there was not true. They created the false confidence and hope that things weren't as bad as the data suggested. He said on Joy News' AM show on Friday. Professor Bobkin further added that the government's supposed interventions to stabilize the economy are unidentifiable. This, he argued, made the economic prospects of the country bleak, adding that, I fear for Ghana. We'll take it again. This is the most important part of it. Professor Bobkin further added that the government's supposed interventions to stabilize the economy are unidentifiable. This, he argued, made the economic prospects of the country bleak. Adding that, I fear for Ghana. Jesus have mercy. That's what he said. He explained that private sector competitiveness will be undermined. Remember, we were talking about private sector just a few seconds ago. As the country goes deeper into the implementation of the African Continental Free Trade Area. And as a result of the government's failure, the populace would have to bear the consequences. Professor Bobkin also criticized government's decision to increase value-added tax, VAT, and argued that government could have explored efficiency within the tax size. The tax net, right? Widen it rather than augmenting it. That's what he's saying. He said that the increment would be a drawback that will rather restrict growth. It will contribute to a high productive cost base of doing business and defeat every attempt to build savings mobilization. If you look at it effectively, the implications of the VAT and the treatment of the street levels effectively puts a burden on the consumer in excess of 20%. Don't worry if you don't understand, because I don't understand. My brother, my sister, hear me now. On a more serious note, listen. When they met to even read the budget, look at how some of the parliamentarians were joking with the thing. Backbin. Oh, Black Stars will win the game. Blah, 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 blah. Listen, man, we are not here to joke. The country is dying. People are strangulated. When you go to listen to the budget, everybody must wear a green face. If I had my own way, people would tear their clothes and wear sackcloth, like in the Bible. In the Bible, when something serious came, especially in the Old Testament, they tore their clothes and wore sackcloth. That was what they did. King David did it. A lot of other people did it. Hey, my brother, when I am listening to parliamentary discussions, they call that proceedings, and I hear people cracking jokes and all that, sometimes it makes me feel like this is being turned into a circus. A finance minister that is so embattled comes in there, and all of a sudden people are smiling as if there's nothing at stake. Let's be honest with ourselves. These are some of the things we say and they get angry. My brother, my sister, that is nothing but the truth. What's happening to our country? VAT has been increased. All of a sudden, they have dropped the so-called e-levy because it didn't help them in any way. After this lousy, inefficacious, inefficient finance minister told us that we will not go to the IMF if only we accepted the e-levy. We did the e-levy. We still went to the IMF. In fact, we are still there begging, cap in hand. If the IMF says no, Ghana will cease to exist. We don't have private mobilization, capital mobilization that can help us raise our heads out of the water. My brother, my sister, what Professor Bobkin has said is nothing but the truth. They won't face the reality. Government sources always undermine things. Listen, when you're watching government TV, when 50 people have been killed in an area, they will come and tell you 5 people are feared dead, while 20 other people are feared injured. But they will never tell you that 50 people died, because they say, when they say that, you'll be shocked. So they are managing the shock. If all these years, your carelessness has not been able to shock us enough to kill us, if all these years, your inefficiencies and all your wickedness couldn't shock us, is it 50 people who died that will shock us? They are joking with us. But to God be the glory. We are watching them time after time. We continue seeing their wickedness. To God be the glory. Posterity will judge them so harshly. Come! This is the Blakk Pot, a.k.a. Kukushonamo, where we speak truth to power. And my name, Blakk Rasta. Last item before I leave. Remember to take our numbers on the screen. Call us. And also follow us on social media. Bring the social media tags. Yeah, social media. We are on social media all over the place. We are on Instagram. We are also on Facebook. We are on Twitter. And we are also on YouTube. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. We are called Black Empire Media. When you subscribe, click on the, what is it called, notification button, so that anytime we release it, if you fail to watch it on TV, you will certainly see it. Yeah, you'll be notified to watch it. We are always on Monday to Friday. This is the Black Pot, aka Kukushunamo, where we speak truth to power. Watch this. He says what? KYEBI pays bitterly, dearly for Galamsey. KYEBI pays dearly, bitterly for Galamsey. Or better still, KYEBI pays bitterly, dearly for Galamsey. Hey, my brother, KYEBI. That is where Omwetia Ofu Poripenyi sits. Remember recently he kicked out his Benkumhini, who had betrayed the state by involving in Galamsey and misbehaving. Jesus. But what happened? See what is happening to KYEBI. They are paying bitterly, dearly for their Galamsey illegal mining. KYEBI water treatment plant shut down again. And this is from my own Tree News. Shut down. Read the story. What does it say? And it's a very short story, straight to the point. Boom. Watch it. It says what? The KYEBI water treatment plant has been shut down again by the Ghana Water Company Limited, GWCL, due to the high turbidity of water at intake points along the Brim River. Residents are struggling to get access to potable water due to pollution by illegal small-scale mining activities, aka Galamsey. The plant was shut down on Wednesday, November 23. Turbidity levels of the water at intake point along the Brim River has passed the 200 threshold to 3,800. Why? You are drinking acid right now. In fact, you are drinking acid, sulfuric acid. Not even carbonic acid, sulfuric acid. There are over 4,000 KYEBI residents and their dependents who rely on the daily supply of 110,000 gallons of water from the plant are in distress. They are in distress. Serious distress. 5 of the Ghana water treatment plants have its intake points in the Brim River. What that sentence is saying is that 5 of the Ghana water treatment plants have their take points in the Brim River. That's their source. The Eastern Regional Public Relations Officer, Kwejo Dase, explains the intermittent shutdown where is the only way out as long as turbidity levels are higher than the normal 200 for the KYEBI water treatment plant. He warns that the situation will be dire in the dry season if the turbidity levels still remain high. What is turbidity level? It simply means that pollution level. Chemicals have gone in there. Look at the water. It looks like acid. This water, if you use it to bath, your skin would even be corroded. And there's a king sitting there. Now he's angry. Look at the water. He's mad at his people. He's destooling their chiefs. What kind of a people around God? Not KYEBI alone. You see the water being destroyed, but you say you are going for the gold. I told you the story of King Midas has ass's ears, right? How about King Midas and the golden touch? I told you that is what is happening in Ghana. You love gold so much that you forget that the most important thing in life is not gold. You need air and you also need water. Some of us didn't go to proper kindergarten school, so we do not even know the story of King Midas and the golden touch. King Midas was a man who loved gold so much that he asked that everything that he touched should turn into gold. And they gave him that power. A satire gave him that. You know what a satire is, right? Gave him. It's like a goblin. And everything he touched. In fact, interestingly, his favorite daughter, his only daughter, saw him and, Daddy, Daddy, I miss you, Daddy. And when he held her, she turned into gold. Hey, the clothing that he was wearing, everything became gold and he couldn't walk. He was very, very heavy and hot. He went around touching the walls of his building. Everything was turning into gold. And then when he got thirsty and wanted to go and drink water, he fetched the water and it turned into gold. This is the best time. There's no better time to tell this story than now. You destroy your water because you want gold. You know what King Midas did? He went out looking for that satire. S-A-T-Y-R. Satire. S-A-T-Y-R. Do not confuse it with S-A-T-I-R-E. My brother, my sister, he looked for the satire, and the satire turned back the whole thing. We are not a wise country. We are so stupid and foolish, like King Midas. Why will we run after gold and pollute our water? Do we have common sense? And chiefs who are supposed to be wise. In my days, there was no foolish chief. But now, they are plentiful like the sea sand all over. A nation of foolish chiefs all over. The few wise ones are not able to control the majority of the fools. How can you love your land? You claim there are gods there. You go and pour apetition for them to drink. You slaughter animals and give to them. Yet you pollute the water that you claim they live in. Because your gods like dirty, polluted water. Common sense is not there. The spiritual sense too is dead. So you don't even know where you stand. What's wrong with us? These days when I look at myself and I look at my beard, some parts of it are getting white. As for the mustache, everything is white. I say, I've been doing this from when I was 17. When my beard didn't even come out properly. Today is all over. When are we going to change? Some years to come, the youth will look at this and say, oh, Black Rasta, he's gone now. Oh, KYEBI. We don't want it like that. We want a changed nation. That's why we never give up. The other day I met an old man who had followed me for over 20 years at the mall. When he saw me, he said, oh, Black Rasta, is that you? And he started crying in public. In fact, at a point, I thought that he had a mental, weeping. Why? He said, Black Rasta, I haven't seen you in a long while. Your beard is all getting white. My God, you are coming after me. You have been doing this work all this while. And I said, if you're going to give me a pat on the shoulder, then what will you do for Kwesi Pratt Jr.? How about Kweku Baku and the rest of them? Especially those who truthfully have the nation at heart. That's what I was created to do. I studied land economy and I also have a master's in what? Oil and gas management. I am presently tackling a PhD. I could have been employed anywhere. In fact, I have enough grace to go and live anywhere in the world and make big money. But unlike Jonah, I would not refuse to go to Nineveh. This is my calling. This is Nineveh. I'm supposed to talk to the people. At the end of the day, it's better to do the bidding of the Father. I want to thank you so much for coming along. I appreciate you and I love you. My name is Black Rasta, and it's been the Black Pot, aka Kukushunomo, where we speak truth to power. I want to say thank you. I appreciate and I love you. Remember to follow us on Twitter. Also follow us on Facebook and subscribe to our channel. It's called the Black Empire Media, as you can see on the side of your screen. In fact, we are heavy on social media. Follow us, give us the numbers. And remember that Black Rasta is out with a brand new single. And it's called Bastard Boy Beer. Bastard boy beer. There's confusion in Cameroon. That dictator is killing a lot of people in Cameroon. By just the language you speak, they can shoot you and kill you in Cameroon. There's no peace in that country. If there's no peace in Cameroon, what's the importance of the peace in Ghana? For us to use our peace to be able to bring peace in that country. Refugees from Cameroon are entering Ghana, Nigeria, and some other places. No, we don't want that. We want them to live in their country, and if they are coming in, they should come in because they just want to come in. They shouldn't be forced to come in because of a certain war. You understand? Paul Biya is a dangerous man that should be kicked out. But the West is sitting back. Listen, why should we even count on the West every time to remove our demons for us? We can exorcise those demons and witches and wizards from amongst us ourselves. That's what the AU should be doing. I have contributed my quota. That music video was shot in Paris, in France. That's where he goes to chill. I went there and shot it. It's called Bastard Boy Biya. B-I-Y-A. Please spread the word. Watch it as much as you can on YouTube. Make a good comment. Share it. Make sure that the video goes high. And if you can sponsor it too, it's very easy to do that. Sponsor it on YouTube and let it fly. This has been the Blakk Pot, aka Kukushunumo. And my name, Blakk Rasta. Wayo!